and of psychologism and logic based on analysis of intentionality. What was Husserl famous for? Arguing that transcendentality consciousness sets the limits of all possible knowledge. Husserl redefined phenomenology as transcendental idealist philosophy. Husserl's thought profoundly influenced 20th century philosophy, and he remains a notable figure in contemporary philosophy and beyond. Husserl defined phenomenology as the science of the essence of consciousness, centered on the defining trait of intentionality, approached explicitly in the person. What is the philosophy of Husserl? Husserl suggested that only by suspending or bracketing away the natural attitude could philosophy becomes its own distinctive and rigorous science. And he insisted that phenomenology is a science of consciousness rather than of empirical things.
So hello everyone, I'm Rohel Panilagaw. Maurice Jean Jacques Merleau Ponty was a French phenomenological philosopher strongly influenced by Edmond Husserl and Martin Heidegger. What is self by Ponty? Maurice Merleau-Ponty believed the physical body to be an important part of what makes up the subjective self. This work asserts that self and perception are encompassed in a physical body. The physical body is a part of selves. The perception of mind and the action of the body are interconnected. Merleau-Ponty's most important work of technical philosophy were Last Structure du Comportement, 1942, The Structure of Behavior, 1965, 1945, Phenomenology or Perception, 1962, The Korean War, Dissolution, Merleau-Ponty, and he broke with Sartre who defended the North Koreans. What is the philosophy of Merleau-Ponty? Merleau-Ponty emphasized the body as the primary site of knowing the world, a corrective to a long philosophical tradition of placing consciousness as the source of knowledge, and maintained that the body and what which it perceived could not be disentangled from each other.
The karma.
What is postmodernism? Postmodernism is an intellectual stance or mode of discourse defined by an attitude of skepticism toward what it considers as the grand narratives and ideologies of modernism, as well as opposition to epistemic certainty and the stability of meaning. Claims to object fact are dismissed as neorealism.
David W. Harvey, FBA, is a British-born Marxist economic geographer, podcaster, and distinguished professor of anthropology and geography at a graduate center of the City University of New York. He received his PhD in geography from the University of Cambridge in 1961. What is David Harvey's theory? A Marxist critic of Harvey's theory of UGD, he shows that the landscape of capitalism, including UGD, is a product of twin processes, of capitalist accumulation and pro-business policies of the state, although popular struggles which seek to use space and place in their own interests play a limited role. What does Harvey argue? The freedom to make and remake our cities and ourselves is, I want to argue, one of the most precious yet most neglected of our human rights. From their inception, cities have arisen through geographical and social concentrations of a surplus product.
So Michael Foucault was a postmodernist, though he refused to be so in his works. He defined postmodernity with reference to two guiding concepts, discourage and power. And power, according to Foucault, is knowledge. Thus, in a postmodern condition, there are discourse which are shaped by knowledge. What is Foucault philosophy? Foucault's entire philosophy is based on the assumption that human knowledge and existence are profoundly historical. He argues that what is most human about man in his history. He discusses the notation of history, change, and historical method at some length at various points in his career. A creative thinker, Foucault made substantial contributions to philosophy, history, literary criticism, and specifically to theoretical work in the human sciences. Foucault was known for tracing the development of Western civilization, particularly in its attitudes towards sexuality, madness, illness, and knowledge. What did Foucault contribute to postmodernism? Foucault and the critique of modernity. Foucault's critique of modernity and humanism, along with his proclamation of the death of man and development of new perspectives on society, knowledge, discourage, and power, has made him a major source of postmodern thought. What is Michael Foucault best known for? Michael Foucault began to attract wide notice as one of the most original and controversial thinkers of his day with the appearance of The Order of Things in 1966. His best known works include The Discipline and Punish, The Birth of the Prison, 1975, and The History of Sexuality, and a multi-volume history of Western sexuality.
Eastern philosophy or Asian philosophy includes the various philosophies that originated in East and South Asia, including Chinese philosophy, Japanese philosophy, Korean philosophy, and Vietnamese philosophy. All of these are dominant in East Asia and Vietnam. And India philosophy, including Hindu philosophy, Jain philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, which are dominant in South Asia, Southeast Asia, Tibet, and Mongolia. Who are the three Eastern philosophers? There are three main philosophical to leader in Asia culture: Lao Tzu, Buddha, and Confucius. Eastern philosophy has always had a very similar goal to Western philosophy, that of making us wiser, less agitated, more thoughtful, and ready to appreciate our lives. However, the way it has gone about this has been intriguingly different in the East. Philosophy has taught its lesson via tea drinking ceremonies, walk in bamboo forests, contemplation of rivers, and ritualist flower arranging seasons. Here are a few ideas to offer us the distinctive wisdom of a continent and enrich our nation of what philosophy might really be.
They take
In Eastern philosophy, is Eastern philosophy really philosophy? If we take the wiki page's definition of philosophy, we get philosophy is the study of the general and fundamental nature of reality, existence, knowledge, values, reason, mind, and language. Under this view, Eastern philosophy definitely qualifies as a philosophy. Eastern philosophy teaches us to embrace the state of being a beginner. It is in this open minded and curious state that we can absorb the many lessons available to us in our daily lives. The most important characteristic of the Eastern worldview, one could almost say the essence of it, is the awareness of the unity and mutual interrelation of all things and events, the experience of all phenomena in the world as manifestations of a basic oneness.
lapot.
Is Eastern philosophy really philosophy? If we take the wiki page
May manani.
definition of
Ha? Manani pre. Kanilang.
uh, what is Eastern philosophy of self? According to Eastern philosophy, the self as an essence does not exist, and this is due to our ignorance of the true nature of the world. According to the Western philosophy, the self does exist, but the views on the topic are pluralistic.
That's
Okay,
all.
thank
Thank you. Stop na ko ni.
Ang question, pre, dito ipakita.
Dili mong
Ah, okay. Edit tayo.
Stop na ni.
Ah,